Conan Exiles is my favorite survival game. I have put over 2,500 hours into this game, and it is the top game played in my Steam library. I've done all different types of playthroughs, from building huge settlements to playing on roleplay servers for years, and even on PvP servers as well. Now, most of my playthrough has been on an older computer. This newer computer unfortunately did not carry over any of my amazing buildings, so I'm gonna be starting from scratch with a brand new playthrough. However, I wanted to do something I have never done before. With the update that had just rolled out with Conan Exiles being Conan Exiles Enhanced, which is the Unreal 5 update, it is time to go back into this game, but with a twist. We're going to try to escape the exiled lands without crafting. That's right, can we survive without building or making a single thing? So, let's dive on in and see how we can do this challenge in Conan Exiles. Now, before I start my new file, I just want to stop and look at this brand new opening screen here. It's playing completely different music, which I've got a lot of thoughts on, which I'm not saying the song is bad. It's actually from the Age of Conan game, and it sounds really nice. I just kind of like the original Conan Exiles song, which was more akin to the original theme song or intro song from the original 1980, whatever, I forgot what year it came out, movie, with Arnold Schwarzenegger, so I do prefer that one over this one, but I'm not saying it's bad at all. I do like how it kind of shows you all the different landscapes, and it shuffles through it as you sit on there. Now, as I just mentioned, pretty much the majority of my playtime has been on either servers or on my previous computer that I owned, so I don't really have any solo adventures on this computer. I have this one right here, which I was on for like 6 minutes, I guess just to get some footage or screenshots. I figured why not, and I clicked it, but I guess because it is from the older version of the game, it crashed out when I tried loading it in. No problem at all, I deleted it, and we're gonna start fresh anyway. So I go ahead and I make a new file, and I'm looking at all the different things. So you can now customize it from the start, but a little bit more in detail than I remember. I don't remember it being as advanced as this. Now, of course, you could access all of this stuff after you had made your file, but I don't remember it being there ahead of time. Now, going through all of this, the vast majority of the settings are going to be default. The only thing that I have different is I have ×3 gather rate, which is not really going to do me any good because I'm not crafting or building anything. I do have DK turned off. It's going to be on the standard combat settings with all of it being at 1.0 default, and that's pretty much it. So now let's get into the character creator. I'm not sure what that pop-up that said inaccessible is that showed up the entire time while it was loading, and it didn't do anything. Anyway, I'm going to be creating my original character called Ursius. Fun fact, even though he did eventually become his own unique character with a unique story that I have written out for him, I was actually trying to make a book, but it didn't finish up well. Anyway, I actually created this character as a roleplay character on Conan Exiles, and of course I based his lore on the Conan universe at the time until I made it into something more unique, but I also took a lot of influence from a different character I used to roleplay on in World of Warcraft, this character being the son of the character from the World of Warcraft days. Now then, we go ahead and we have Conan save us from the crucifix, and right off the bat I noticed that the graphics look very odd. It's not until after I get in-game that I find out that all of my settings got defaulted to low for some reason. I'll get to that in a second. But anyway, we go back to Conan telling us to live, laugh, and love until he cuts us down from the crucifix, and we try to escape a sandstorm when we end up in the exiled lands. The adventure is beginning now. I'm going to have to try to escape the exiled lands without crafting or building anything. The only way I can progress is if I kill and steal all of the items from the NPCs around the world. I'm doing this in solo play because doing it on multiplayer would be too easy because I could just, walk up to somebody's base and steal their items. So playing it on solo is going to add that bit of challenge. Now, this is when I noticed that the graphics looked very bad, and I was like, oh, that's not how it's supposed to look. I used to be able to run this game on ultra settings. Is it that bad that the Unreal Engine update made it it, so I have to run it on low. It defaulted it to that, so I set it back to ultra just to see what would happen, and actually the game runs pretty smooth. Yeah, I dip a little bit in frames, but I didn't really go below 40 to 50 frames. It did occasionally jump to 30 every so often, but it was not often at all. In fact, I have already played this server for a few hours as of editing this episode right here, and it's actually running pretty smooth. Besides those couple of crashes at the beginning, I have not had any issues with the performance of this update. So that's actually really good to know. Now then, we're gonna head all the way to what is called Noob River. So I've run all the way from the sand dune area. I did find a water skin and a couple of exotic meats. I'm gonna hold on to them as long as I can. I run up to the quickest nest and I grab a couple of eggs. This is really where it's going to benefit me that I have the ×3 gather rate, but I think this is going to be the only time because I'm going to have to find a different method of getting food besides just egg running once I get a little bit further in my progression. I come across my first exile camp and they are very aggressive. I have no armor and no weapons to face them, so I run away. I do get distracted at the water, so I stop for a second and they almost catch up to me. I quickly jump into the water to get away from them, and I almost died because there was an archer that I had not seen and they shot me a couple of times. Luckily they de-aggroed, but now that I'm safe on the other end of the shoreline, I'm able to stop and look around, see the beautiful water physics. It actually looks really good. I love just staring at it. It's kind of mesmerizing. The only thing that I wish is that it would react to the player when the player kind of jumped in and swam. That's something that I hope they add later on. As I eat one of the exotic meats that I had gathered earlier, it helps heal me back up. I do find more exiles that were attacking some of the green turtlebacks. They take some damage, so with that I was able to take advantage of it and punch one of them to death. My first kill with no weapons or armor. Does he drop anything? No, he drops bone arrows, so yeah, that's great. But this is when I learned that I could actually have the exiles follow me as I aggro them, run up and climb up a tree or a rock or something, and then they will completely switch targets to the turtles, and the turtles will either weaken them or completely demolish them for me. So this is going to be the way for me to get some kills in and try to get anything I can. Now, I'm desperate. I want food, bandages, weapons, armor, anything that these guys can drop. So I wait around, let the turtles do their job, and I check out these guys. First guy, nope, just arrows, so that sucks. But the second guy has bandages and a sword. This is big. Bandages are gonna be beneficial for when I'm actually doing combat, and a sword is for, actually killing people. Now I can actually do something instead of punching them to death. So my first victim with my sword is this archer, which I completely miss and fall off the cliff. Yeah, that was embarrassing. I jump back up after getting hit with a couple of arrows, and I do manage to take her out. Of course, I fall off the cliff again, but I take her down with me. As I loot her, I go to see if she has anything worthwhile, and she does have a repair kit, so that's something. I will actually be using that later on. Since I can't craft a crafting bench, I will not be able to repair things using that. I will allow myself, however, to learn how to make things, even though I am not going to make them, because it will allow me the option to repair them in my inventory if I can. So I will be able to repair this stone axe in my hand without using that repair kit, but I will save it for later on. Anyway, I try my luck at a spearman, but the spear is still kind of OP and he completely demolishes me, which sends me back to the dunes. I run all the way back and I collect my stuff. Now then, I do notice that the spearman is gone. Instead, that there is an archer. Something that I had completely forgotten about single player is that when you leave an area, everything kind of like despawns and resets. So that's why if I die and come back to an area, anything I kill will be respawned or completely changed up. Now, I do kill the bowman because he is easier than the spearman, and he drops not only pants, but I think it's called a Felicia or Phalica, I don't know how to pronounce that sword, but it's equivalent to an iron tier sword. This is huge. This is going to absolutely help out for the low level progression. I do level a couple of times, so I put in my talent points. I'm going to go primarily for stamina, health, and strength. That's going to be my primary focus. focus. I do find a chest nearby which has potions, bandages, and so much more. It even has a bedroll. This is great. Now I'm not going to have to run from the dunes if I die again. I did consider just putting it down in the middle of Noob River where I could just, run from there. But then I realized if I go far away from that spot, I'm still going to have to run a distance. So I keep it with me. As I approach a camp, I set it down. That way if I die in the camp, I'll be right there. I can just come right back up. Now that's not going to stop them from respawning, so that's something I'm going to have to consider. Also, this iron sword absolutely shreds. I tear through these Exiles as if they were nothing. So as of right now, until I get some better gear, I am essentially a glass cannon. I can absolutely demolish enemies, but if they get a hold of me, I'm done for. So I do see a camp of Dafari up on this cliffside. I'm going to be trying my luck with them because they drop a lot better stuff than Exiles. Even though what they drop isn't good, it's better than nothing. I placed my bedroll just below the cliff there, so I'm not going to be too far if I do perish. Now my first enemy up ahead is going to be an archer. I try zigzagging to avoid the arrows, though he still hits me. As the shield bearer comes up, I manage to shred both of them with one quick swipe. I take what they have, which was some Dafari necklace, which is a chest piece. Definitely is going to be better than nothing. It gives me some armor bonus, so I'm going to be putting that on. I also eventually find some anklets and bracers, I believe. You'll see it in a second here. Anyway, I go ahead and I pull the next group, which is a jailer and a sorcerer. The sorcerer is pretty weak. Of course, I do have to watch out for the knives because those shred. And the jailer is going to be big. If I'm able to take him out, I can get the key. The key is going to be something that I'm desperately going to need because around the map are cages. If I have those keys, I can unlock the cages for a chance at a follower. So I'll be able to get followers without crafting a wheel or the torturer's workbench. Definitely gonna be needed later on. Now I do try fighting them with the iron warhammer that the jailer dropped. Yeah, it's very slow, sluggish, and it uses so much stamina, so it kills me. No problem, I just spawn right outside the base. So I go ahead and I try to recover my body, learning that all of the enemies had respawned, and this is also when I realized that the button Q, which is to loot everything, was also for some fucking reason the button to target enemies. So I'm trying to loot and it's targeting them, which is moving my camera around, and I die. I go again for a second attempt and I die without even getting near my body. I try for a third time. I do manage to pick up my stuff and then I die next to the edge. That's better because now at least I'm closer to the edge. So I run along the cliffside. I try climbing and I just manage to make it onto the other side where I grab my stuff and quickly jump into the water before they're able to take me out. So yeah, it was very frustrating. I managed to cuss a couple of times in my playthrough, but I do eventually recover my stuff. Not to mention rebound that Q button so it wouldn't target. I don't like the targeting system in this game. As I'm running along the bank there, I come across an elite. Now, I actually do not remember this enemy at all, so I quickly run, not knowing how strong they are, and I didn't want to take any chances. I come across a crocodile, so I quickly climb back up because I also see the elite going down and targeting the crocodile, so I figured, okay, they'll keep themselves busy. Now, I do get distracted, and that left her enough time to come back up to the cliffside to fight me, so I said, fine, bet, and I completely demolish her, so I guess she was an elite, but she was super weak. This is around the time where I start to wonder if the settings of my combat is just, not default. So I check real quick and no, the player damage multiplier is set to 1.0. So yeah, I guess this weapon is pretty strong for the low level areas, or that enemy was just really weak. It actually surprised me that I took her out in 2 hits. So anyway, I go back up the cliff and I try again for the Dafari camp, and I do manage to kill a few more people and get their stuff, though I'm going to quickly realize that this camp is going to be a little bit just above my level. But before that, look at that. I have never seen scorpions on the ground before. It's either I'm blind for the last 2,000 hours I've been playing this game, or this is brand new with the update, but I have never seen these little baby scorpions just kind of spawning in different areas before, and I do end up finding them later on in the map as well. Anyway, I take out another Dafari and he drops a potion as well as a bow. That's going to be great as well. I can use the bow in order to try to pull in enemies from far away. Also, I'm going to need it for the Dregs dungeon later on. I then pull a little bit more than I can chew and I try to get away, but I run out of stamina and yeah, I lost my head. I go back and I recover my stuff. I also go and stare down at my head, which was just kind of rolling down the edge there. It's actually kind of funny to see your body just completely mangled after being demolished by the enemy. So after that, I decided, okay, if I'm going to be getting anywhere in this challenge, I need to go somewhere that is going to be safe for me to get any form of upgrades. And that's going to be Set City. Sapumaru is one of the safest places that I could chest run without as many enemies, even though there are some, but it's going to drop a lot better items for me. I've seen gear drop before, I've seen weapons drop before, so definitely that is going to be the next area we go. And until then, I hope you stay tuned for episode 2 of this challenge, and I will see you in the next one.